非常欢迎继续收看佛学英文这一堂课。Welcome back to the Buddhist English class. In our last class, we have discussed the way or the technique to develop our insight meditation. One of the best ways is to observe very carefully the rising and the falling of our abdomen. Just to watch it, just to watch the movements of the abdomen. And then in a further way, we can watch the movements of our mind, because the movements of our mind is interrelated to the movements of our body. Today, we will discuss further the essential points of the observation of the rising and falling of abdomen. Let's read a few sentences first, and then we will explain in a detailed way. Just after me, repeat after me. As you become more and more alert and can follow the movements more carefully, you will become aware that the breathing is sometimes shallow, sometimes deep, sometimes rapid, sometimes slow and calm. These variations should be noted. However, there should be no effort to control or to interfere with the breathing in any way. Just choicelessly watch the movements as they appear. When you are breathing normally, while you are watching the rise and fall of the abdomen, the mind may by itself go towards other objects, such as thoughts, feeling, bodily sensations. These new objects should be noted as soon as they arise. If a thought comes to your mind, be aware of thinking. If a sound comes to your attention, make a mental note of hearing. After each note, firmly and calmly return your attention to the primary objects of meditation, the movements of abdomen. Repeat. As you become more and more alert and can follow the movements more carefully, you will become aware that the breathing is sometimes shallow, sometimes deep, sometimes rapid, sometimes slow and calm. These variations should be noted. However, there should be no effort to control or to interfere with the patient in any way. Just choicelessly watch the movements as they appear. When you are breathing normally, while you are watching the rise and fall of the abdomen, the mind may by itself go towards other objects, such as thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations. These new objects should be noted as soon as they arise. If a thought comes to your mind, be aware of thinking. If a sound comes to your attention, make a mental note of hearing. After each note, firmly and calmly return your attention to the primary objects of meditation, the movements of abdomen. In our last class, we understand the key points of sitting meditation is to go to a quiet place and sit in a comfortable position with our eyes closed and our back straight but not rigid. Watch carefully the rising and the falling of the abdomen. And we may notice that the movements of the abdomen is always pleasant. Place your attention on its natural in and out movement, making a mental note of each part of the process as it is occurring. It is very simple. Just sit there and place your attention to the natural process of the in and out movements, or the rising and falling of the abdomen. When we are taking breaths, our abdomen will rise and pop out. Then we can notice the movement of the abdomen follow the action of taking breaths. In the other words, that we can see very clearly the movements of the abdomen are always there. We just watch every step of the process of the change of our abdomen. We don't need to repeat vocally the words rising and falling. And we don't even have to think of rising and falling in the form of words. It is very important. Don't put any effort to control or to change the movements of the abdomen. Just let the abdomen move in a very natural way. Because we want to see the truth of our body and our mind. Because we want to see the truth of our life. We just observe. We just watch. We just see clearly what is happening to our breast, what is happening to our abdomen. The rising and the falling of the abdomen is a natural process. When we are taken out or in of breath, it is a natural way. We want to see the truth, the natural way of our life. Just watch the process of rising and falling of abdomen. Just watch the natural process of our taking breaths. As soon as we practice in this way, as soon as we just concentrate our attention on the movements of our abdomen, more and more, we will understand the truth of our abdomen. As you become more and more alert, I can follow the movements more carefully. You will become aware that the breathing is sometimes shallow, sometimes deep, sometimes rapid, sometimes slow and calm. When we practice in this way, in a very natural way, we don't put any effort to change the natural process of our bodily movements. We practice in this way, in a very relaxed way, in a very clear way, in a very comfortable way, as we become more and more alert. Alert means that we understand clearly. As soon as you become more and more alert, means when you become more and more aware of the rising and falling of the abdomen, and you can follow the movements more carefully. When we concentrate our attention, when we focus our attentiveness, we can see more clearly what is happening to our breast, what is happening to our abdomen, what is happening to our body. We become more and more alert. We understand more clearly what is happening within us by means of our breath. And we can follow the movements more carefully. That means the more we practice, the more concentrated we can have our mind. And we can follow the movements of the abdomen to rise and to fall more carefully. We can see more carefully the movements of the abdomen in a very natural way. Then we will become aware, we will notice, we will discover, we will find, we will understand that breathing is changing all the time. The process of breathing, or the type or the way of present is changing all the time. It is not in only one way, but it is changing all the time. We will notice that present is sometimes shallow. That means present is sometimes not so broad as before. Our present may become very shallow, will become very slow. That means our present sometimes may become very short, not so long as before. However, sometimes our present will become deep. Deep is the opposite of shallow. Shallow means very small in scope and very short. And deep means our present sometimes may become very long, and we can take in the breath deep to our abdomen. That is the healthy way of breathing. We will notice that our breathing is changing all the time. Our breathing doesn't remain the same all the time. Sometimes the breathing is very shallow, and sometimes the breathing will become very deep. It changes from moment to moment. And sometimes our breathing may become rapid, and sometimes our breathing will become very slow and calm. Rapid is the opposite of slow and calm. It is two extremes. One extreme is rapid, and the other extreme is slow and calm. One extreme is shallow, and the other extreme is deep. That means our breathing is changing its type almost all the time. From the finding of the change of our breathing, we will get the wisdom that everything is impermanent. Our breathing is impermanent. Then we may understand that other phenomena will also be impermanent. The purpose of practicing meditation is to develop our attentiveness, is to increase our concentration. So we may observe, so we may watch in a more careful way, in a more clear way, that even our breathing is impermanent, because our breathing may sometimes become shallow, sometimes become deep, our breathing may sometimes become rapid and sometimes slow and calm. Even the very, very natural way of breathing is impermanent. Then the other phenomena will be impermanent too. This is why we just observe, we just watch the natural process of our breathing, the natural process of the movements of the abdomen. The purpose is to find out the truth, is to discover the truth. Just let it move in the natural way. Just to observe, to watch every step of the movements of the abdomen. Just to watch it. Don't try to change it. Don't try to control. Don't try to put your efforts on the movements of the abdomen, because we want to know the ultimate truth of the change of the movements of abdomen. In order to find the ultimate truth of our life, in order to get liberation from suffering. Once we have the insight that everything is impermanent, then we will not attach to any sensation we may have. We will not attach to any thoughts we may have. We will not attach to any mental formation or mental volition we may have. We will not attach to anything, any phenomena, any object in our life, in our body, or in our surrounding world. We will let it operate in a very natural way, because we understand everything is dependent originated. Everything depends on so many other factors. Everything appears because of so many causes and conditions. And that is the truth of dependent origination. How to realize the truth of dependent origination? The best way is to practice meditation in order to concentrate our mind and to observe our body and our mind through the movements of our breathing, either counting the number of breaths in or breathing out, or observing the rising and falling of the abdomen. Our breathing is sometimes shallow, sometimes deep, sometimes rapid, sometimes slow and calm. There are so many variations, even in the case of breathing. We don't need to mention our complicated life. we don't need to speak of the complex operation of our body and our mind. Just take the example of breathing. We can discover that everything is changing, and therefore everything has no ego. It is the natural law. If we follow the natural law, then we are a free person. We are a happy person. However, if we act against the Dharma, against the natural law, that means if we insist that everything should be permanent, everything should fit our aspiration, we will suffer a lot. This is also a natural way. Even a very simple and a natural activity of breathing, there are so many variations. The breathing is sometimes shallow, sometimes deep, sometimes rapid, sometimes slow and calm, sometimes cold, sometimes hot, sometimes short, sometimes long. There are so many variations. These variations should be noted. That means we should watch, we should see clearly, we should observe clearly these variations. The variations of breathing. However, there should be no effort to control or to interfere with the breathing in any way. Just observe or watch the variations. That is enough. Don't try to put any effort to control or to interfere with the breathing in any way. We want to have the natural way. We want to have the ultimate truth of the breathing in order to discover the ultimate truth of our life. If we try our effort to control or to interfere with the breathing, even in a very subtle way, then we cannot see the ultimate truth of our breathing. As a result, we cannot see the ultimate truth of our life. And therefore, we cannot get the ultimate wisdom. Just choicelessly watch the movements as they appear when you are breathing normally. When you are breathing, as every day you breathe, just watch the movements as they appear without any choice. Because we want to know the real truth, the real fact of our life. Choicelessly means without any choice. There is only one way that you can watch. There is only one action that you can take. There is no other alternatives. There is no other choices that you may take. Don't try to change. Don't try to interfere with the natural phenomena. The natural phenomena are the result of the operation of Dharma. Therefore, the key point is to watch very carefully the natural movement of the abdomen, the body, the breathing. Don't try to change, to control, to interfere with the breathing in any way. Choicelessly watch the movements as they appear. When the breathing is deep, don't try to change it. Just observe it. When the breathing is shallow, just notice it. Don't try to control it. When the breathing is rapid, just understand that you are breathing rapidly. Don't try to stop it. When the breathing is slow and calm, don't try to fashion it. Just let it do in its natural way. The natural movements represent the operation of cause and effect. When you are breathing normally, then you will understand that there are variations in the movements of the body or in the process of breathing. Don't try to control or to interfere with the process of breathing, because we want to find the ultimate truth of our life. While you are watching the rise and fall of the abdomen, the mind may by itself go towards other objects such as thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations. Because we are only a beginner, because we just practice the meditation at the very beginning stage. While you are watching the rise and fall of the abdomen, while you are watching means when you are observing the rise and fall of the abdomen with your close attention, with your careful attentiveness, the mind will by itself go towards other objects, because we are not an advanced yogi. We are not an advanced practitioner. We are only a beginner. Our mind may by itself go towards other objects, because our mind is used to wandering away, because we cannot concentrate, we cannot focus our mind all the time. We don't have enough training. We don't have a long-time experience of sitting meditation. The mind may by itself very naturally go towards other objects. We haven't controlled our mind enough. We don't have the experience of concentrating our mind. So it is quite natural. Don't feel frustrated. When you sit meditation and your mind runs away, don't feel frustrated. It is quite natural. And it is the natural phenomena. It would be after you have enough training in taking meditation that your mind will remain at the same place all the time. Therefore, when you are watching the rise and fall of the abdomen, the mind may by itself go towards other objects. Yes, the mind may notice that some things are happening in mind, such as thoughts, feelings, or bodily sensations. Yes, our mind is not calm. Our mind is not steady. Our mind is not peaceful. It is always wandering. It is always running away, running towards other objects, just like a monkey. We are not the master of our mind. We become a slave of our mind, because our mind is not concentrated. It may naturally run away from the objects of our meditation. Thoughts, feelings, or bodily sensations may always appear in our mind. So we just observe, we just watch what is happening in our mind, what is happening in our body. Thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, these new objects should be noted as soon as they arise. Whenever there is any sensation, bodily sensation, feeling, or thought arises in our mind, we must notice it. We must discover that some new object is arising in our mind. This is the training of attention. Just see what is happening in our body. Just watch what is happening in our mind. Don't put any judgment. Just let it be. Just let it act in its natural way. These new objects should be noted as soon as they arise. That means we should have very careful attention, very close attentiveness. Whenever there is a change in our mind, in our body, we discover it. We will not be led or misguided. That is important. After the training, we may easily discover that any thought is arising in our mind. For example, if a bad thought is arising in our mind, then we can notice it. And then we can try to return to our normal state, to our natural state. And just watch the bad thought comes and goes by itself. Don't try to control it. Don't try to change it, because it is a natural phenomenon. Once we become a Buddha, then we will not have any bad thought. Before we totally purify our mind, we may have many inappropriate thoughts arising in our mind. Therefore, don't feel frustrated or don't feel unhappy. It is quite natural. These new objects should be noted as soon as they arise. If a thought comes to your mind, be aware of thinking. This is the key to practice insight meditation. Don't judge anything. When we are breathing, when we are watching the movements in our body and in our mind, and suddenly we notice that a thought comes to our mind, we must be aware of, we are thinking. We are making a new thought. A new thought is coming to our mind. It is the key point. Just to watch, just to notice, just to observe what is happening. Be aware of the thinking. Whenever a thought comes to the mind, because the thought may be a bad one, may be a thief, may steal away our good marriage. We must be aware of anything which is happening in our body and our mind. Just be aware of what is arising in the mind. That is enough. Don't place any judgment. Don't feel disappointed. Don't feel unhappy. Because right now, we are not a Buddha. Because right now, we are not totally enlightened. It is quite natural to have a thought comes to our mind from time to time. Although we try to focus our attention on the movements of abdomen. In other case, if a sound comes to your attention, make a mental note of hearing. If a sound comes to your attention, that means that your mind is wandering away. Your mind is running away. Originally, your mind is requested to watch, to see the natural process of breathing, the movements of abdomen, or the movements of your mind. But now, your mind runs away and to hear a sound. Then, you understand that your mind is not concentrated, that your mind is not focused on the object you should have. In this case, if a sound comes to your attention, make a mental note of hearing. Means that you should discover that a sound comes to your attention. As soon as the sound comes to your mind, don't let your mind wander away. Otherwise, you cannot see the truth of your body, of your mind, and you cannot see the truth of your life. If a sound comes to your attention, make a mental note of hearing. Means in your mind, you must understand that you are hearing something, that you are hearing some sound. This is very important in the meditation exercise. The meditation exercise is aimed to obtain a concentrated mind in order to see the truth of our body and our mind. If a mind comes to your attention, your mind draws your attention. If a mind or a sound rises in your mind, you must make a mental note of hearing. You must be aware that you are hearing some sound. It is very important in the practice of insight meditation. In a similar way, if you feel a sensation appears in some part of your body, you must make the mental note of sensing. That means if you feel itching in some part of your body, for example, in your arms or in your legs, you must discover as soon as the feeling, the sensation of itching appears, and make a mental note of sensing. If an odor comes to your attention, that means when you smell some odor, you must notice it as soon as the odor appears in your mind. And tell yourself that you smell something, that your mind is not concentrated at this moment. And don't make any judgment. Don't be affected by the sensation. If you practice in this way, then after each such note, firmly and calmly return your attention to the primary objects of meditation, that is, the movements of the abdomen. Right now, you are practicing insight meditation. The primary object of your meditation is the movements of the abdomen. So don't forget your primary objects of meditation. After each mental note, then return your attention to the primary objects of meditation. That means that you have to watch again the rise and fall of the abdomen in order to see the truth of your body and your mind and your life. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.